We're going to go ahead and start the TIRZ number 2 meeting. Meeting is called to order. Secretary Huerta, please call the roll.
Chairman Dan Suckley.
Here.
Board members Libby Ayert,
Here.
Roland Barrera,
Here.
Sylvia Campos. Here. Brent Chesney is absent. Joe Gonzalez is absent. Paulette Guajardo, absent. Gil Hernandez. I know he's here, but I think he just stepped away for a little bit. Michael Hunter.
Here.
Jim Klein.
Here.
John Mattis is absent. Mike Pesley. Everett Roy.
Here.
Connie Scott is absent. Okay, we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. Is there anyone here who would like to make public comment? All right. Please step up and state your name and address. And we have ISAC Chairman Jay Gardner. I'll give you your name if you forgot.
Morning, everybody. Jay Gardner. I live in Flower Bluff next to the ESD number 2. Also, as Chairman Suckley said, I am chair of the Island Strategic Action Committee. I'd like to thank everybody for your time today. We passed a couple of recommendations last week at ISAC, and these are timely. These are very timely. The first motion was to prioritize completing the paper streets as in the Mustang Island, Padre Island area development plan. We prioritize these as Sand Dollar first, and then Crow's Nest, and then Palmyra. Sand Dollar is that cut-through street that goes from Jackfish, Verdimar to Park Road 360 or Highway 361. There is already an entrance to Speedy Stop and Lake Padre that is offset of that. So if we don't get on that, by doing nothing, we're going to create a left turn hazard right there. So I think that we all think that that needs to hit the front burner for sure. The second recommendation was to get the reuse water line for the Whitecap wastewater treatment plant back online. There's a 10-inch PVC line that is capped at the wastewater treatment plant and then goes back up to the corner of Gypsy and Whitecap. That water, right now, you guys are going through some renovations at the Whitecap wastewater treatment plant, at the treatment plant down there, and you know, they're doing some aerators, clarifiers, bar screens, electrical grit removal, all that. We want to make sure that that line and the pumps and the electrical that goes with that is maintained through these renovations. We don't want to do retro engineering again, or what I call rut-row engineering. We failed to plan for the future. So anyway, those are 2 recommendations. We'd like to see all that, all of the projects get on the CIP, and we thank Chairman Suckley and staff for getting those on, but those 2 need to hit the front. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Any other public comment? Ms. Huerta, do we have any written comment requests?
No, sir. We do not.
Thank you. Moving on to the minutes. Any corrections to the minutes from April or May meetings?
Second.
Have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Financial reports.
Good morning. Alma Casas, Interim Director of Finance. I'll be presenting the financials for the 7 months ended April 30th. Beginning fund balance was $8 million. Revenues year-to-date, $5.3 million. And no expenditures, so that leaves us with an ending fund balance of $13.3 million. And we also have a maintenance reserve of $500,000. CIP projects, we've got Park Road 22 Bridge, available balance of 2.9. Then we have Packery Channel, which is, we've got FEMA restoration, $4 million, dredging, $4 million, monitoring, $8,000. And then we have a reserve appropriation of $110,000, leaving us with a total of $11,220,000 available balance. And that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Any questions regarding the financials? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
With no action required, moving on, and no executive session today, so moving on to the agenda items, of which we have two. Motion authorizing the appropriation and expenditure of additional funds in an amount of $335,240 from the unreserved fund balance of tax increment reinvestment zone number 2 for the Park Road number 22 bridge. Mr. Edmonds?
Good morning. Jeff Edmonds, Director of Engineering Services. This item is an appropriation to cover a change order that we're hoping is the last one because we're in the final throes of completing this project. Should be done in late August. But there was a change order due to a discrepancy between the bid form and the drawings. And we essentially need to execute this change order to be able to complete the project.
I move for approval.
Motion to approve and a second. Mr. Hernandez, Board Member Hernandez.
Yeah, what does this bring the total project cost to, including utilities?
Brett, you got it. Okay, the CIP amount is 17.75 million. I think that's before this, so.
That's
that-
before
that'll
this,
take
is
you
that-
right up to 18.
So 17 and a half, so
18.
this is going to bring it up to about 18?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Second agenda item is presentation and discussion of the proposed budget for 2023-2024 tax increment reinvestment zone number 2.
Good morning, Chairman and board members. Eddie Houlihan with the Office of Management and Budget. And we can pull up the TIRZ 2 proposed budget for you. First, to the overview. The TIRZ 2 at the end of FY22 had a fund balance of $8,081,000 and bond reserve of $1,005,000 and maintenance reserve of $500,000. So a net of $6,081,000. The bond reserve was done away with since the debt was paid off. So in the future years, you'll just see a maintenance reserve. At the end of FY23, the current projection is that fund balance will be $13,612,000. And then moving into the proposed FY24, currently we don't have much expenditures in this particular area at this point, but the ending fund balance projected to be $19,400,000. A little more detail on the revenues. The two participating entities, the city and Nueces County, we don't know about Del Mar's participation at this time. So in this area, the values went from in 23 $715,477,000 to the preliminary number from the appraisal district $782,880,000, or an increase of $67,403,000, or about 9.4% increase in net taxable value. So the city estimated revenue from the city in FY24 $4,264,000. From the county, Nueces County, and $1,490,000, and then interest income of $322,000. So for total revenues of $6,076,000. Moving into the expenditures, at this point we just have the some general TIRZ 2 activities of $200,000, and then the general fund support $88,295. For a total of $288,295. And I'm going to let Heather talk to you a little bit about some more projects.
Good morning, Board Chairman Heather Hurlbert, Interim Assistant City Manager. So with, as we transition from what was the support of Packery Channel into our next 20 years of this TIRZ, the board had worked in, made a decision on the projects that were going to be included in the project and financing plan that was finalized in May. And then working with the ISAC along with some of the input from departments, we are recommending that we include several projects for funding in fiscal year '24. So the first would be the Briscoe King Pavilion project. The county is working on getting those final plans together, and so we anticipate that project will be presented to the board within the next several months, and so we'd like to go ahead and include that in our fiscal year '24 budget. The second is the ongoing Packery Channel maintenance. So that's one of the things that, as we go into this next life cycle of the Packery Channel, that we committed to making sure that it was properly maintained. And so what we have an estimate of 1.5 million per year that will be needed over the next 20 years for the ongoing maintenance, dredging, things like that. So we want to make sure that gets included into the budget. The chairman of the ISAC, Jay Gardner, mentioned that one of their top priorities is the Paper Street projects. And so we propose that we move forward with their top priority at the Sand Dollar Street. We will be formulating what the cost of that would be to include in the budget for '24. And then also looking at potential projects for improvements to the seawall. What we propose for that is not necessarily that we include that in the budget currently, but we will be formulating a plan and bringing that back forward for consideration for improvements to the seawall structure along with amenities. And then, as Mr. Gardner recommended, also the influent water line. So we'll be getting with the water department on that to find out where that is within their CIP. And we do have that as an eligible project that we can utilize TIRZ funds to move that forward if that's not for, if it's in the future, not in the current CIP. So those are staff recommendations. These are not currently reflected in the budget right now, but if this is something that the board, just like we did with TIRZ number 4, if this is something the board would like us to move forward with, we will include that in the budget for consideration in July.
Thank you very much. Board Member Hernandez. Your Board Member Pusley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Heather, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but on the $4 million that we have allocated for the Briscoe King
Yes.
Pavilion, has the county indicated, are they matching that to a certain extent, or do you know yet?
I do not know. I haven't seen what the total project cost is estimated at. I just know that their request from the TIRZ was up to $4 million, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen the final scope
Okay.
and or financials on what that project cost is.
Okay, but whenever that gets put together by the county, then that will come back to this board for final approval.
Exactly. What we're requesting is that this amount just be put in the budget, kind of pin, and then we would wait for that presentation from the county, and then at that point, the board would then make a recommendation on what that funding level would be.
Okay.
But that would, by including it in the budget, we have it ready, we wouldn't have to then appropriate funds or do a budget amendment.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions?
Chairman, can I just elaborate?
Yes, sir.
The seawall, as you know, several of us toured the seawall near the Wynwood parking lot. We are working on the capital budget, and I think we had in the finance plan, project finance plan, we had 15 million as an earmarked number. And so that's a significant project. We know the seawall has some engineering issues today, and this project would help to stabilize it, add some amenities, and make it the destination it was probably a decade or so ago. We're also working with some of the private property owners to see if the city can assume that property, because as we know, the seawall is owned by individual property owners that the wall abuts to. But just to put this on the board's radar, this is a significant project on the island, and one that is eligible for TIRZ funding. So we'll talk more about it as part of the budget process overall, and I just want to highlight it a little bit more than what we did so far.
Thank you, Peter. With no other comments, no other business, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.